So you're thinking about moving to Idaho and you're looking into various homeschool options like homeschool hybrid programs, full homeschooling, charter schools, private charter schools, public charter schools. There are so many options here in Idaho, and that's actually a big reason why we moved to Idaho, is because of the plethora of homeschooling options available and just how easy it really is to homeschool here in Idaho. So I'm actually here with my wife today, who really is the expert who does most of the research around the homeschooling options for our kids. So she's going to be talking a lot about the options that are available to you when you're looking to move here and looking to homeschool your kids. So if you are looking to make the move here to Idaho, I am a real estate agent and my team and I specialize in helping people move to Idaho. We moved from California, from San Diego here to Idaho. We absolutely love it. We're so glad we did it. And we homeschool our kids, so we figured we'd make a great video for you to help you navigate homeschooling for you. And so if you are looking to make the move here, all you gotta do is reach out via phone, text, or email. We do have a great homeschool resource guide for you, and that'll be dropped down below in the description and comments, so you can download that and get all the resources that we're talking about in today's video. And then when you're looking to make the move, just reach out to us via phone, text, or email. We'll jump on a Zoom call with you and figure out exactly what the right area is for you to make the move here to Idaho. And the great thing about homeschooling is it opens up a wide range of options of places to live because you're not locked in to a specific school. So go ahead and reach out, and we'd love to talk to you. All right, so as I mentioned in the intro, I am here with my wife, Liz Chism, and she really is the expert on homeschooling because she is the one actually homeschooling our kids. Of course, I'm involved, but she's the one that really has done all the hard work, all the research of homeschooling options here in the Boise, Idaho, Treasure Valley area. So I'm gonna start turning it over to her to tell us a little bit more about all the amazing homeschool options that are available to you when you're making the move here to Idaho.
So like Curtis mentioned, there are so many different options and you really have to figure out what works best for you and your family and what area you're in. So if you're wanting to just homeschool at home and then add some co-ops, there are co-ops in every single city here in the Boise area. So if you're looking at Nampa, there's co-ops there. If you're looking all the way in Eagle, there's co-ops there, and everywhere in between. So that's one of the cool things about here is there's so many different options for homeschooling families. Another thing is that there's a lot of hybrid programs. And what I mean by hybrid programs is in California, they use the word enrichment programs. So they're not actually run by the state. They are run by local independent entities. And so they include things like the Bridge program that's from the Ambrose School. The Ambrose School is a private school, and then they have a Bridge program on top of that, so that if you're wanting to do a classical education but only do a couple days a week at school, then that's an option. There's a Heart Christian Academy that just recently started here in the Boise area, and they will be starting in Meridian coming up the fall of 2023. They've been around since '99, and every year they've slowly been adding campuses all over the US. And so we're lucky enough to get them here into the Boise area for all of us to homeschool and be supported by that hybrid program. There are smaller ones like Valley Christian Academy that's in North Caldwell. So if you're in that area, it's a great program for you to plug your kids into and to really give them that social aspect, but also have that support so that way it's both at home and at school.
So have you found that when you're looking at homeschooling options, do people kind of try things out and then bounce around and make different decisions? How do you see that going?
So a lot of times people want to try something new because where they've come from, there's very few options. Here in the Boise area, they have tons of options. There's everything you can possibly imagine. So for instance, there is a lot of CC or Classical Conversations campuses. So if you're familiar with Classical Conversations, there's a lot of campuses here, but it's not for everybody. They try it out or have different days where you can come and be a guest for the day to really try it out. Sometimes people just stick with something for a semester and see if it works for their family and see if it doesn't.
All right, so what are some state reimbursement options that homeschoolers have access to?
So there are three main ones that can give you funding as a homeschool parent, and they are Tech Prep, Overture, and Harmony. Those three have different guidelines, different strengths, different weaknesses, and so it really just depends what your family is looking for in a funding program. None of these funding opportunities will cover anything religious, so they won't cover religious classes or religious curriculum or anything like that. However, even if you use religious curriculum, you can still use it for buying a piano keyboard or getting a computer for your child or sports opportunities or getting a membership membership to the museum, the Children's Museum, which we just recently got for our children, because it has so many different classes and options there that I can have the state pay for that opportunity for my kids to learn outside of the Christian curriculum that we use at home.
Are there any risks to using the state-funded money?
So there are some stipulations around them as far as what you can use them for, what you'll be reimbursed for, and some of the more expensive items, they do have some criteria around that. And so I know, for example, Tech Prep, if you were to pay for a computer and have them reimburse you 100%, that computer actually belongs to the state for 3 years. Now, if you pay for 10% of it and Tech Prep pays for 90% of it, then at the end of the school year, that computer is yours. So like I said, you need to make sure you go through and read all of the information that they have. One of the cool things about Idaho is everyone is so friendly here. So when I had some questions about one of the funding programs, the lady just said, hey, can I give you a call and talk through this with you? And immediately I had a phone call and we were able to work through whatever we needed to work through, and I had my questions answered. There wasn't a ton of red tape and bureaucracy and forms that I had to fill out and all this stuff just to get assistance from the state. So that was really helpful in my circumstance when I'm new here, to really just have everything be streamlined and easy to do.
Well, can you dive in a little bit deeper on some of the specific hybrid programs that we talked about at the beginning, things like HEART or Valley or CC or the Bridge program? Different options like that?
So yeah, there are a lot of options like we've mentioned, and it can get overwhelming to really decide what works best for you. One of the things that Curtis just mentioned is CC, and that's Classical Conversations. It's a pretty popular program here in the Treasure Valley, in fact, all over the US. I know a ton of friends and families who are part of that program. And that is one where it's one class day a week, and it is then the rest of the instructions are at home. And so you're able to get that assistance and that support and build that community. At the same time, you can have that classical education all from your home. There's the Bridge program, which is also classically based, and that is from the Ambrose School, which is a classical private school in Meridian that's 5 days a week. But the Bridge program is the bridge or the gap between being at home and being at school. So it's a couple of days at school and a couple of days at home. So you're able to get the best of both worlds and have a little bit more flexibility. We know people who are at the Ambrose School and we know friends who are at the Bridge program, and they all love it. I also know a lot of people who are at Classical Conversations and they love it. It's cool because everybody is finding what works best for them and what they love the most. For us, Heart Christian Academy, we did in San Diego, so it was really nice that they decided to plant a campus here in the Treasure Valley. And so we were able to just plug into that program, and we know what it is and we know how it runs and operates, and so therefore we are a part of that. One of the cool things that I like about Heart is that it's a very seamless transfer between class days at home and class days at school, and the back and forth of it is so easy and so streamlined that if for some reason we decide to go on a trip and just be gone for a week, I can just take that book work that she would have done at school and just take it along with us on our trip, and she can stay right up to speed with everybody else in her class and never misses a beat. There's also Valley Christian Academy, which like I mentioned is in North Caldwell, and so they do 3 days a week at school, and they do so much work at school that there ends up just being some homework given for the days that you're at home versus a full school load when you're at home.
So what grades do these hybrid programs go up to?
From what I know, both the Bridge program from the Ambrose School and Heart Christian Academy have a JK or a TK program, so a pre-kindergarten program for children that are around 4 years old. And then they also have the kindergarten program and on up. One of the things though is that Heart does not have a high school program. They cap out at junior high, but when they started in the 90s, ever since then, they have had no problem from kids transferring from the homeschool program through junior high and then transferring to a school or a different program for high school. The kids have all maintained their grades and have been awesome. So that has been really helpful for us to know that my kid is going to have a good education. And if for some reason we decide to change it up, my kid's not going to be behind in certain subjects and can just jump into some other program very easily. Classical Conversations, on the other hand, they have different groups of kids, and some of the campuses don't start super young, like 5 years old. They start a little bit older than that, and other campuses do. So you'll really just have to see what campus works best for you and what ages your children are.
Now, what about some co-ops around here? Are there like co-ops versus homeschool hybrid programs?
So there's one in Meridian that's pretty popular, and it's called ILA, I-L-A, Independent Learning Academy. That is more of a university-based model where the parents can pick classes and different sessions for their child and kind of cherry pick what they want and what they don't want. And so they have class days. They also have a hybrid program on that. I don't know of anybody in it. I do know people just cherry pick the classes that they are maybe not as strong to teach at home and would like that outside assistance. There are also a lot of co-ops here in the Treasure Valley. In fact, a simple search, you can find so many different co-ops in every single city here in the Treasure Valley. Now, because of that, some of them are larger and more structured and have a lot to offer, and others are very small and are maybe just a couple of moms that met at the playground, live in the same area, and decide to homeschool together and use each other's strengths to help each other out. And so when you move here, you're really going to want to dive into your community and seeing what is available and what works best for you and your family.
So are there any Facebook groups or resources for parents that are looking to homeschool, trying to find a co-op where they can get together with these other families?
So the three that I have been recommended when I was doing all my research and trying to figure out what works best for my family and how we wanted to plug in and create a community for our children. And these three are the Parents of Treasure Valley Homeschool Mom and Dads, and Treasure Valley Christian Homeschoolers. All of those have a lot of resources for homeschool families, and what's cool is they've been around for long enough that you can just use the search option inside those groups to see if your question has already been asked before.
So let's talk about a big topic for a lot of folks that might be moving here and a big concern for people. It's the big vaccination word. So what are the vaccination requirements for homeschool programs, homeschool hybrid, and even for public schools?
So, you ready for this? There are none. It's so free. You can do what you think is best for your family. So what that means is that if your kids go to public school, they can just sign off saying you're not vaccinating or you don't vaccinate, and they are accepted into public school with no questions asked. If you want to homeschool and you're using public funding or state funding for your homeschooling, they do require a vaccination piece of paper. And all you have to say is religious exemption, or there's another option for a different type of exemption.
Philosophical objection, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And you just check the box and sign your name, and that is all you have to do. And they don't ever ask you again. They don't ask you why. They don't pester you. They don't coerce you into doing something that you have decided you don't want to do for your family. That is one of the cool things about Idaho, is it has a lot of medical freedom.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why people are moving to Idaho, is for the freedom. And people ask, well, what kind of freedoms are you talking about? Well, this is one of them: the freedom to homeschool, the freedom to have homeschool hybrid, or go to public school if you like, the freedom to choose what you want to do with your body, and the medical exemptions, etc., around vaccines, and exactly what you want to do. Of course, there's many other freedoms that we love here. Second Amendment, of course, everyone's pretty much a big believer in the Second Amendment, that kind of thing. Now, if your children really are into sports and you want to make sure that they have access to those sports activities or even extracurricular activities that a lot of public schools do provide, actually, if you are homeschooling, you do have access to those public school sports and extracurricular activities as well. And again, going back to the vaccination requirements, if you have those exemptions, then your kids don't have to be vaccinated if that's your choice as well. And I did just want to point out again, I do have this complete resource guide for everything about homeschooling, homeschool hybrid programs, charter programs, etc. It is linked below, so you can click on that and you can download that, and it has complete links to all these different resources that we mentioned in this video and many additional resources that are in that guide. And we'll continue to keep that updated as much as we possibly can, because things do change, of course, over time. So go ahead and download that so you can get that information. Well, as you can see, my wife is really the expert around homeschooling. So if you have questions about homeschooling, hit me up and I will put you in touch with her, and she can fill you in about all those details. She loves talking with people about homeschooling, of course, among other things. And if you have questions about moving to Idaho and the Boise and Treasure Valley area, just hit me up via phone, text, or email. I would love to get on a Zoom call with you. We'll figure out exactly where you would like to live here in the Treasure Valley. And if you are homeschooling, like I said earlier, you have a lot more options of where you can live. So if you want to be in Boise itself, or maybe in Eagle, right along the river, access to the Greenbelt, or in Meridian, where you have access to all kinds of shopping like the Village, or more options as far as schools, of course, as well. Or maybe you want to be more out in the country like Nampa or Caldwell, or even Kuna or Middleton, or beautiful Star, Idaho. Any of those options for you will to figure out what works best for you. So whether you're 9 days, 90 days, or even 2 years out, all you gotta do is reach out. We get calls and texts from people all the time, just like you and you and you and you, and I absolutely love it. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. We're dropping new videos every single week about what it's like to live here in beautiful Boise and Treasure Valley area. We moved from California. We know what it's like moving here, and the stresses involved and the emotions and everything. So we really try to take that kind of perspective in these videos to help you make that smooth move out here to Idaho. I always recommend, of course, too, that you journey out here maybe before you decide to actually buy, and take a look around the area. I have a great points of interest for you document that I'll give you when you're coming out here, so you can self-tour, so you can know exactly where to go, so you're not lost when you come out here. Also, don't forget to hit like, helps everyone find this channel. And if you are looking to move to the Treasure Valley area, all you gotta do is check out this video right over here. It goes into all the different areas to help guide you in that decision. I'll see you on the next video.